Asia. That means we have to be responsible about trade, which is why I'm in favor of a lot more trade with Asia and direct investment. But it doesn't come at any cost, which is why I'm also in the same breath opposed to the Northern Gateway Pipeline proposal by England. Here. Because yes, we need to get our resources to market, but we need to do it the right way and not in a way that's going to cost us in future generations. Et voilà quelques idées au niveau des ressources naturelles. Merci. You in the back. Yes. Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you. The question is about cooperation and about electoral reform. First of all, you know, as Liberals, I think we have to, and this will be the last question, I think we have to tell ourselves something. Look, we had one bad election the last time. Now, it was on the string of a series of bad elections, but it's not time to throw in the towel. Yes, we went from 170 seats in 2000 to 135 in the election after that, to 100 in the election after that, to 77 in the election after that, to 34 in the election after that. That's a straight line. And it ends up in 2 seats, because Morrill and I aren't losing neither Papineau or Ottawa-Vanier. But we can do better than that. We need to reconnect. And I'm sorry, people say, oh, the left has to unite. We're not the left. We are a progressive, pragmatic, values-based party that is not ideologically bound to either left or right. You want me to merge with the NDP? You want me to cooperate with the NDP? You asking me to reject the Clarity Act? No merci. Are you asking me to give up on trade because I know that trade is the greatest generator of wealth and prosperity for the middle class if we do it right? No merci. There is no question of saying, oh, we can't seem to offer a decent alternative to Mr. Harper, so let's give less choices to Canadians, and then maybe they'll be smart enough to pick someone other than Mr. Harper. The point is not to just get rid of Mr. Harper. The point is to replace him with a better government. And that is what we're 100% dedicated to. That's why the Liberal Party will run 338 candidates right across the country in the next election. But that flows right into the second half of the question around democratic reform. Because those 338 candidates, under my watch, not a single one of them will be chosen by the leader. I am giving up that right that the Liberal leader has had. Perhaps it's because of my own story, where I understood that fighting a tough nomination fight in Papineau was the best thing for my political career ever, because it allowed me to get to know my community, to earn the trust of the local Liberals, and that's what led me to being able to win against a very tough, very well-respected Bloc incumbent, and then triple my margin of victory against an orange wave that should have taken the narrow-victoried, left-leaning, strongly nationalist riding of Papineau first out of all the ridings in Quebec that were going to drop to the orange wave. I understand the point of and the need to connect and ground every member of Parliament in the community that they have the responsibility to serve. And that's why everyone, including me, will have to go through an open nomination process before they can be the candidate for the Liberal Party in the 2015 election. But more than that, the number one thing that is a turnoff to Canadians is the hyper-partisanship that we have in Ottawa. The dominance of the party lines. The fact that your member of Parliament doesn't really get to speak for you, or you certainly don't see it. I'm bringing forward, I put forward on my website a few weeks ago, a proposal to create many, many more free votes and significantly loosen the party line. If we're a government, budget votes will still have to be, on side. But they'll involve a lot more consultation because the attitude, and if you get elected on the Liberal platform in 2015, well, then you have to vote for the Liberal platform as we bring it into place. But everything else is up for discussion and negotiation to make sure that none of our policies sets off one community or one part of the country against another. The conversations we will have to have as a party that shares its values, a party that speaks for all Canadians, will determine the agenda going forward and the strength of this country. On top of that, the other element of democratic reform that people talk about a lot is proportional representation. We need to move towards more proportional representation. I don't like proportional representation, and I'll tell you why. Every different model of proportional representation leads to greater partisanship, not less. Because either you get a mixed member proportional system where some MPs are elected by the communities they represent and others are selected from lists generated by a party to make up for the popular vote numbers they got. The issue with that is you will have MPs who owe their position as MPs not to Canadians in general, other than a nebulous 8% of Canadians who might have voted for their brand, but they owe their position to the backroom folks who, in a political party, who put them on a list. So they are more responsible to partisan politics than they are to representing Canadians in general. And what we need instead are MPs who are all about reaching out across ideological boundaries and trying to represent a larger number of people. That's why my proposal to move beyond first past the post is one of a preferential ballot. Now, this isn't an out-of-nowhere idea. It was the idea that was massively endorsed at the very last policy convention the Liberal Party had here in Ottawa in January a year ago. What it will do is make us rank our choices. So you say, I really like the red guy to win, but if not, I can accept the green girl. If not, yeah, that NDPer is okay too, but I'm going to rank the Conservative down below the Independent Communist. And what that also requires, what it leads to is not just does every member of Parliament represent, therefore, more than 50% of their riding of at least having been their first, second, or maybe third choice, but it also represents and changes the way politics functions. Because political parties, instead of focusing on their differences, will have to reach out and win over communities of people whose first vote wouldn't be for you, and you have to emphasize why you have so much in common with these people, with this community. And it would significantly alter the tone of politics to be less partisan because you're trying to find common ground between the different people around. That's what Canadians want. Less hyperpartisanship, more effective dialogue and debate to figure out the best possible way to serve this extraordinary collection of people in this country with varied interests and answers, but shared values and dreams. C'est ça le Canada et c'est ça que nous allons bâtir ensemble. Merci beaucoup tout le monde.